3 words. That's all it takes to shut down someone who's been manipulating you for months. Most people freeze when toxic people attack. They over-explain. They defend. They argue, and every word they say becomes ammunition used against them. But a small 1% knows something different. They know that power isn't in talking more. It's in saying less. The right 3 words, delivered with calm certainty, can collapse an entire manipulation strategy in seconds. Today, I'm going to give you 7 3-word phrases that will disarm toxic people instantly. These aren't comebacks. They're not insults. They're psychological circuit breakers. Each one removes something toxic people desperately need from you. Your reaction, your fear, your chaos. Use just one of these and watch the confusion spread across their face. They won't know how to respond because everything they've practiced relies on you playing along, and you just stopped playing. One of these phrases is so powerful that therapists use it to help abuse survivors reclaim their voice. It feels counterintuitive at first, almost too simple. But it works because it attacks the root of what makes toxic people dangerous. Stay until the end for that one. The Stoics understood verbal combat centuries ago. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the best answer to anger is silence. And Seneca wrote that we suffer more in imagination than in reality. In plain terms, stop giving toxic people what they're fishing for. Starve them with stillness. Feed them nothing but 3 calm words. Let's begin. Phrase 1. You may be right. These 3 words will short-circuit any argument instantly. Not because you're agreeing with them, but because you're refusing to fight. Toxic people expect resistance. They prepare for your defense. They anticipate your justification. When you say you may be right, you remove the wall they were ready to crash into. They stumble forward into empty space, and suddenly, they don't know what to do. Here's the psychology. When you defend yourself, you validate their attack. You treat it as worthy of response. But when you calmly say, you may be right, you communicate something devastating. This doesn't threaten me enough to argue. You're not admitting fault. You're not surrendering. You're dissolving the conflict entirely. And that terrifies them, because their power came from your resistance. Without it, they're just someone talking to themselves. Marcus Aurelius wrote that to be angry is to give someone else control of your mind. These 3 words let you keep that control. You acknowledge their words, you offer no grip for them to grab, and you walk away whole while they spiral in confusion. Phrase 2. That's your opinion. Simple. Devastating. Unarguable. Toxic people present their judgments as facts. You're selfish. You always do this. You're impossible. They state it with certainty, expecting you to either accept it or fight it. Both responses feed them. But when you say that's your opinion, you reclassify their attack. You move it from the category of truth to the category of perspective. And perspectives can be wrong. Perspectives can be ignored. Perspectives belong to the person who holds them, not to you. You don't need to prove them wrong. You don't need to explain yourself. You simply identify what they said as their internal experience, not your external reality, and then you disengage. Here's why it works. Toxic people hate being reduced. They want their words to land like verdicts. When you treat their attack as merely an opinion, you strip it of power. It becomes just another noise in the room. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what others say, only how we receive it. That your opinion is the verbal equivalent of returning a package you never ordered. It's not yours. You won't sign for it. Send it back. Phrase 3. I'm not available. Not I'm busy. Not I don't have time. Those invite negotiation. I'm not available is final. Toxic people assume access. They assume you'll answer. They assume you'll engage. This phrase shuts the door without slamming it. It's calm. It's complete. It offers nothing to argue with. When you tell someone I'm not available, you assert something profound. You remind them, and yourself, that your presence is a choice, not an obligation. They are not entitled to your time, your energy, or your emotional bandwidth. Watch how they react. Some will push harder. That's confirmation of their toxicity. A respectful person accepts the boundary. A manipulator treats it as a challenge. Their response tells you everything you need to know. Seneca said that we lose half our life waiting for the right moment. Stop waiting for toxic people to treat you better. Declare your unavailability now. Not with anger, not with apology. With 3 words that reclaim your time as your own. You are not available. That's the whole sentence. No explanation required. Phrase 4. I'll think about it. This phrase buys you time without committing to anything. And time is the enemy of manipulation. Toxic people rely on urgency. They push for immediate answers because they know that pressure leads to poor decisions. They want you reactive, not reflective. When you say, I'll think about it, you remove their momentum. You step out of their timeline and into your own. Now, here's the key. You're not obligated to actually think about it. You're not promising a later answer. You're simply declining to be rushed. This phrase works in negotiations, in arguments, in guilt trip conversations. Whenever someone demands a response you're not ready to give, these 3 words give you space without giving them fuel. Marcus Aurelius practiced what he called the pause, the space between stimulus and response. I'll think about it is that pause made verbal. You feel the pressure, you acknowledge it, and then you refuse to act from it. Toxic people panic when you don't react on command. Your delay is your power. Use it. Quick pause here. If these phrases are shifting how you see verbal conflict, subscribe to the Stoic Rise. ULL, learn how to move through life with calm power that confuses the people who used to control you. Now, let's keep going, because phrase 5 is the one therapists teach to survivors of manipulation. It feels backward at first, but it works on a level most people don't understand. Phrase 5. I forgive you. This one terrifies toxic people, not because they feel guilty. Most don't. It terrifies them because it signals you're no longer trapped in the game. Forgiveness is not about them. It's about you. When you say I forgive you, you announce that you're releasing the grip this person had on your emotions. You're no longer waiting for an apology. You're no longer feeding the resentment. You're done. Toxic people thrive on your attachment, even negative attachment. When you hate someone, when you ruminate, when you replay the offense, you're still bonded to them. Forgiveness cuts the chain. And when you say it directly to her face, it communicates power they can't argue with. Because how do you fight forgiveness? What comeback exists for someone who just said they're letting go? Seneca wrote that anger is brief madness. Forgiveness is the return to sanity. It doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you trust again. It means you stop carrying them. You walk lighter. They become irrelevant. These 3 words aren't for them. They're for you. But when toxic people hear them, they lose something they didn't know they had. Your pain as their leverage. Phrase 6. Is that all? This phrase is quiet violence. Toxic people want their words to land with weight. They want you staggered when you absorb everything they throw at you. Pause calmly and ask, is that all? You communicate something devastating. You tell them that their best shot didn't even bruise you. This isn't about pretending their words don't hurt. It's about refusing to give them the satisfaction of your pain. The question implies that you expected more, that what they delivered was disappointing, that you're still standing, almost bored. Watch their face when you say it. The confusion, the recalibration. They'll either escalate, which exposes them, or they'll retreat, which means you've won. Epictetus taught that no one can hurt you without your consent. Is that all? Is consent revoked? It's the verbal equivalent of catching a punch and yawning. Use this one sparingly. In the right moment, against someone who expects you to crumble, these 3 words become a mirror. They show the attacker how powerless they truly are. Phrase 7. I expect nothing. This is the phrase of total liberation. Toxic people maintain power through your expectations. You expect them to apologize. You expect them to understand. You expect them to change. and every unmet expectation becomes fuel for their manipulation. They disappoint you on purpose. They dangle hope, then withdraw it. When you say, "I expect nothing," you remove their weapon completely. There's no hope to exploit, no outcome to dangle. You've already accepted that they are exactly who they've shown themselves to be. This is not cynicism. It's clarity. Marcus Aurelius wrote that we should begin each day expecting to meet the dishonest, the ungrateful, the arrogant. He didn't say this to be negative. He said it so he wouldn't be surprised. And surprise is where manipulation lives. I expect nothing is freedom disguised as surrender. You're not giving up on them. You're giving up the fantasy that they'll become who you wish they were. And in that release, you reclaim every bit of emotional energy they were siphoning from you. They can't disappoint you if you expected nothing. They can't control you if you need nothing from them. 3 words: total freedom. Now here's the rule that makes all 7 phrases work. Delivery matters more than the words. If you say these phrases with anger, with desperation, with a shaky voice, the power isn't just in the words, it's in the stillness behind them. The calm, the eye contact, the pause before you speak. Toxic people read energy before they hear language. If your energy screams fear, no phrase will save you. But if your energy says, "I'm unmoved," even 3 words become a fortress. Practice these phrases in the mirror. Say them until they feel natural. Remove the charge from your voice. Let the silence after the words do the work. The 1% who master this aren't louder. They're slower. They're calmer. They're terrifying in their composure. Seneca said that true power is not needing to use it. When you can speak 3 words and collapse a manipulator's strategy, you've found that power. Don't collect phrases. Embody the energy behind them. If you want to keep building this unshakable presence, subscribe to the Stoic Rise. Every video will train you to become the kind of person who speaks less but says more. The kind of person toxic people learn to avoid. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these 7 phrases will you use first? And is there a situation in your life right now where you wish you had said less? Drop it in the comments. Your story might be the example someone else needs to hear. I'll see you in the next one.